In Dead Cells, I've played thousands of different builds, and today I put together some of the 3 best ones I've actually ever seen for tactics. We'll do real runs of the game and cook these builds just like you would if you were playing the game. You could skip through the video to just see the builds, but if you watch this all the way through, you'll better understand why these are so good. So let's start off where every run begins, in prison quarters. Here, I immediately see a starred quickbow. Sometimes when I start off a run, I choose something like this to see if it has good early game power just to get us moving. This tube also included multiple tactics items such as the Thunder Shield and Poyo Power, so you can see that it obviously is going to become a tactics build. Funny enough, each of these could become build 1 on their own, but I think I'll be able to surprise you. In fact, pause the video right now, look at these 5 items. Which one do you think is going to become the basis of this build? Let's head into the toxic sewers and pick up our first mutation. I'm grabbing Parting Gift. This is a mutation that drops a bomb when an enemy is killed by a ranged attack. This works with everything I'm holding except the melee hits of the axe and, surprisingly, the eggs from Poyo Power. In my opinion, Parting Gift isn't enough to use in its own right. It might kill some bats, but realistically, it's only doing a small amount of damage to the next monster that you come across, and only if those are rubbing noses with the previous monster. Once I enter Prison Depths, you will have noticed 2 things have changed. For one, we have Wings of the Crow. This is one of the more awkward abilities in the game, but it's also one of the strongest if you know how to use it. We'll also pair this with Magic Missile, at least temporarily. There aren't many ranged attacks in the game that have perfect homing, but Magic Missile is one of those. It will help us drop Parting Gift bombs, and when I use the effect of Wings of the Crow to fly, I can aim downward with Magic Missile. I'm also grabbing Networking, a huge piece to this build that causes enemies to share damage if they are hit with ranged attacks. Obviously, this works with Magic Missile. I can shoot and pierce through monsters, marking them with Networking so they share the damage. But another unlikely source of networking is the Thunder Shield. The shield has an effect that gives you a lightning aura, hitting enemies around you, and these hits are considered ranged damage, activating networking and dropping Parting Gift bombs when those die. We can actually parry the Parting Gift bombs with our own Thunder Shield in order to maintain this aura as we run through the biome. Our Wings of the Crow has an additional effect beyond just flying. It actually causes extra lightning damage on every attack. This will work with the Thunder Shield's aura, doing a ton more damage since both the wings and the shield are stacking with each other. In the next biome, I wanted to try a suggestion from a YouTube community member. If you want to become a VIP member, join and get yourself a Rusty Dagger badge, as well as make suggestions like this. I'm using the suggested Hunter's Instinct to try to reduce the Wings of the Crow cooldown as much as possible. Keep in mind, the cooldown does not reduce while it's active, it's only after the wings wears off. It's definitely working, but I'm having a difficult time trying to parry all of these bombs manually. The boy's axe is helping a bit to solve that problem. One axe basically translates into 1 bomb, so I know to parry as soon as I press the button to retrieve the axe. But still, it feels like something's missing. Let's get through the first boss, Conjunctivius, first before we make any changes. This fight is all about getting our turret to hit Conjunctivius while spamming Boy Axe. The axe has a fun effect of interrupting the boss attacks due to a slight stun that it provides. Typically, the boss won't be able to attack very often if you're spamming the axe enough. The tentacles are the same way, but don't get fooled by Wings of the Crow's float ability. I've been hit in the air by a tentacle from the ground. I'd rather just stay grounded by down slamming or pressing the down button and then rolling on the ground normally. With the boss dead, we get our first legendary. The legendary like and subscribe. Now's your chance to get this while you're still thinking about it. I'm done with the experimentation. Let's try to turn this into a top 3. I'm going to take Networking, Parting Gift, and Armadillo Pack. The Thunder Shield is getting moved into our backpack, and I'm sure the neurons in your brain are starting to activate as I speak. Armadillo Pack is a mutation that allows the shield in our backpack to parry when dodge rolling. It will parry all projectiles, including those Parting Gift bombs. The Thunder Shield will activate the Lightning Aura effect every single time you throw through Parting Gift. Every monster you pass by is linked by networking. Wings of the Crow is boosting the damage of the shield in our backpack. Anything that doesn't just die outright from a simple dodge roll eats a boy axe to the face. It's near perfect synergy. Perhaps the only problem I'm having in the graveyard is that I'm going so fast I keep running into spikes. Same with Forgotten Sepulchre. Every monster just melts to the networking combo I have. There's lots of curses here, so I do have to slow down a little bit. But once that's done, I can go back to ramming myself into spikes because I literally can't control the wings. Our second boss is the Giant, who is basically useless for our Parting Gift parry setup. So we made two changes for bosses. One is Flamethrower, a great turret that never misses its target and unlocks bonus damage to fire on all of our weapons. I would consider this the more useful turret for this setup. We also took one of the weirdest weapons in the game, the Thrown Axe from Castlevania DLC. We can aim this easily thanks to Wings of the Crow. Networking still activates here, so we're sharing big chunks of damage with every axe we throw. You can easily stick with Magic Missile too. With the Giant dead, we start up our final victory lap by going through Dracula's castle. There aren't as many monsters here as other biomes, so the networking isn't as impressive looking as earlier, but they still melt all the same. Here you can see Medusa gets a taste of what's about to happen to Dracula himself. We do need to reset our mutations though, because I've been heavily favoring biome clear. Armadillo Pack does stay because it works in the fight, but we're also bringing in support and point blank, two mutations that deal damage, one for being close to a turret, and the other one for doing close range damage with the boy axe. The Armadillo Pack will stay on as it knocks away all of Dracula's bullets and the meteors he summons. This will still activate our Thunder Shield, giving us that Lightning Aura. The boy's axe doesn't really do much in this fight to keep Dracula still, but we can still get the bonus damage to the rooted target. Final phase Dracula is a little weird too. He can't be snared, and the Wings of the Crow might make you fall straight down into a hole, which to be fair is kind of funny to watch. The throwing axe still chunks, but definitely try Magic Missile if you don't enjoy using the throwing axe. With Dracula dead, that is our first full win. Did you know that this build was going to turn into Thunder Shield Armadillo Pack with networking and Parting Gift? I bet not, but we'll see if you can guess what the next build's gonna be. We once again drop into prison quarters and see a few options that include tactics items. To start off with, let's grab the Tentacle. This is one of the stranger weapons in Dead Cells. It launches a ranged tentacle arm at the enemy, which does damage and pulls you in. If you tap the button one more time, you'll get a punch that pierces the enemy and does critical damage. This is not the top 3 item. When I leave prison quarters, nothing has really changed, so we need a generic mutation just to get us by. For now, let's take No Mercy. This mutation executes monsters that go below 15% of their own HP. It doesn't change no matter what your scrolls are, so it solves the problem of Tentacle, where it might possibly leave a monster near death. In Arboretum, I do find a Fire Blast early on. This is a close-range flame breath that does good damage if you hold down the button, as well as hitting multiple monsters. This weapon could be a top 3, but my main problem with it is the wind-up to do the breath, plus the fact that you have to hold down the button in order to hit multiple monsters. It also has a secondary effect for critical hits if the monster has oil, so that's another hoop that I may not want to jump through. So instead of this, I'm going to be grabbing part 1 of this top 3 build, and that is Spartan Sandals. The Spartans have got to be one of the most underrated weapons in the game. While you might think it's only useful for knocking enemies off a platform or into a hole, the Spartan does a really good damage if the monster hits a wall. If there is no wall around you, you are stun locking the monster so it can't perform any actions until you stop kicking. Before I move on, I'll also grab a second weapon, the Boomerang. In the passage to Prison Depths, we'll grab our second mutation, Acrobati Pack. With this mutation, the weapon in our backpack is fired out whenever we throw the boomerang. Even though Fire Blast requires you to hold down the button, the game is smart enough to fire the breath continuously for about 2 or 3 seconds. So now in the biome, I can just throw the boomerang while I run, and if a monster gets too close, I can kick it. Or on the flip side, I can walk up to a monster, kick it, and then throw the boomerang once it's out of my face. No monster in the game will ignore the Spartan Sandal, so this is the ultimate safety machine. So long as I can kick it. Our third mutation is going to be ammo. In a typical boomerang build, this is incredible because it literally doubles your damage. It is 2 boomerangs after all. But this is still not our top 3. There it is, the true second piece of our build, the cross. Now, I actually don't like using the cross by itself. The weapon is thrown out a set distance and hangs there for a second or two to do constant damage. Then it comes back to you and does a small amount of damage on the way back. The best of its damage is in that lingering zone, and most monsters will simply walk right by it. However, with Spartan Sandals, we can kick the monsters perfectly on top of that cross. But V, what about bosses like Mamatic, who is literally inside a wall? Well, the cross will just sit on the wall, spinning as normal, chewing up Mamatic's health bar. I can kick and interrupt all of her attacks while the cross just grinds the boss up. I would say that felt pretty good. We'll sell off this C tier legendary and then reset our mutations. Acrobatic Pack stays for the Fire Blast, Ammo stays to give us 2 crosses, but then I'm gonna take Instinct of the Master of Arms, aka Instincto, in order to spam our Knife Dance and our Scarecrow Sickles. Now let's get into some action. Every monster gets a cross. If they get too close, they get kicked. If they don't land perfectly on the cross, they'll get kicked into a wall or fall off a ledge. Between my 2 buttons, they are going to die guaranteed. To maximize our damage, I'll need to reroll the sandals and the cross. The goal is to spread oil for the Fire Blast and get burning oil damage on the cross. Of course, I didn't get either, so let's farm some cash in the clock tower. This map is actually great for Spartans as I'm constantly going up, giving plenty of ledges to kick monsters off of. Then the tower itself is pretty narrow, allowing me to grind the monsters up against the wall. This is one of the few builds where the skills can be just about whatever you want. You likely won't need to press the skill button at all in biomes, so turrets for bosses is probably a smart idea. I'm going to take Heavy Turret, which boosts my own damage by 15% while it pummels the monster with a stunning arrow shot. The stun part is okay. We can see how that would be useful on Timekeeper. Really, all I want to do is flex the kick stun lock on Timekeeper while she's eating my crosses. If I get bonus damage from a turret, that's even better. Timekeeper is dead. Let's take her Owl of War. This is basically a mini turret that flies above me doing constant damage. Basically, I don't want to press any buttons except kick and cross, so Owl is perfect for that. In High Peak Castle, we need to find and kill 3 elites to get the key to leave this area. The first elite in the red door is dead. They stood absolutely no chance at all. The thorny and the green door might reflect your kick, but they can't reflect the cross. The final door is blue, holding an elite slasher. This thing is going to get yeeted into the wall and makes me feel really bad actually that none of these could fight back. After the castle, I want to change my mutations to support my 2-button build. I don't need cooldown reduction anymore because I don't really press the skills more than once. So let's swap out Instincto for support. This buffs my damage just by being in range of my heavy turret. Unfortunately, the owl does not count as a turret for this. With my remaining money, I'll try to reroll my weapons. We hit burning damage and oil on the cross, which is good enough for now. It's now time for Hand of the King. This guy we could kick around, even send him down into the spikes, but I feel like it's actually a DPS loss to do that. We'd rather him be above ground where the cross can actually reach him. With Hand dead, it's time for the next area, only available if you're playing on 5 boss cell of difficulty. For some of you, this and the boss included may be a spoiler, so here's the timestamp of where you can fast forward if you don't want to see what's coming up. The Astrolab itself has some issues for this build because the Spartans and the cross cannot aim up. So any floating demon genies you come across will have to be killed by the owl and the turret. Simply avoid pressing those buttons until that monster shows up. Everything else like the failed experiment and this bird are kickable, so they should have no issue for you. It's now time to go into the true boss of Dead Cells, the spoiler guy, aka the Collector. I didn't change any items before now. I didn't reroll my equipment. I am just gonna play this the same way you saw earlier. The goal is to hunt him into the wall, throw the crosses, and whatever you do, don't stop kicking. Well, that is until he decides to stop being stun locked, which is when you'll have to actually play the game. After some ads are killed, we get a little bit more DPS, and then we get to send him right back into the wall. Just a fair warning, beware of these orbs while he's in the wall. There is a bug where the balls could become invisible if they spawn inside the wall. With Collector dead, we kick him even more, and then fade away into nothingness. That was actually a pretty quick run for me, but hopefully it will be for you too. Let's head back to prison quarters and kick some knowledge back into your brain with a third build. The final tactics build I recorded live at our Twitch stream over at twitch.tv/VeeDotMe. Be sure you're following over there to see Dead Cells and all the other roguelikes I play. The tubes this time didn't have many offerings, so again we'll look for early game power in the form of Whip Sword. This item isn't tactics, but it definitely plays tactfully, if that's the word to use. It's a trick weapon that can change form from a sword version to a whip version. When swapping, it does an empowered smack, and then turns your next hits into critical hits. It's enough to get us through the biome, but as I said, the goal is to look for top 3 tactics, so we'll need to take this weapon, the War Javelin. This is a long-range spear that you can teleport to after you've thrown it. The damage on the War Javelin is surprisingly high early on, but it's usually used for only movement. Our first mutation that I'm going to take is networking. The War Javelin is a ranged attack. Every monster it pierces through past the first will all share damage together. Of course, we really only have an ice bow to follow up after we teleport in, and this thing does basically no damage at all. The goal would either be a really good tactics melee weapon or a really fast ranged weapon. I tried Snake Fang for a while, but decided to swap over to Star Fury. This will have nice synergy with networking and some of our future mutations as well. But not for the next mutation we're taking. We're actually starting off with Acrobati Pack, and I'm going to use the same synergy as the second build I showed you, but with a sick twist. As you already know, the Fire Blast is pretty short range, so the problem is that we have to walk up to the monster before the flames hit. But now with War Javelin, we're instantly in range, breathing on them with our hot ab breath. This will be even better with oil on hit with the Javelin. We don't have that yet, so I'm using an oil grenade to power up the Fire Blast. We were lucky enough to find a War Javelin that generates Toxic Cloud on hit, so I don't really want to re-roll the Javelin. It's like all the danger of Fire Blast goes away, and the monsters are stunned, and I have networking, and I have oil. We can get cooldown reduction from Instincto. We can get Point Blank. I don't know what the best second weapon is yet. In the passage to Ossuary, we take our last mutation, which is Point Blank. Unlike the previous build where I'm playing around with monster spacing, here I'm going to be in their face. Point Blank isn't there for the Javelin, it's there for the Fire Blast. In fact, most of this build is designed to make the Fire Blast as good as possible. Then you have a second weapon to tie up any loose ends. I couldn't really settle on that second weapon. There are 2 that come to mind for me, and both work really well with Point Blank. First one being the Bible, and second one being Electric Whip. We found a Bible that does damage to poison target, so let's try that against death. Remember that the Bible will generate a rotating book around you, but only if you land the second hit of the combo. Those rotating books are buffed by Point Blank, and that's the secret sauce to this setup. I get the hitless kill on death and sell off his legendary. The next biome choices are really dependent on how likely I am to throw a javelin into something stupid and kill myself that way. Remember what I said where it's supposed to come back if it hits spikes? It's supposed to do this. But I found the pixel perfect spot that got me hurt. I opt to go to Graveyard, which still has spikes to be fair, but I still think it's a little bit safer than Stilt Village. Here, our strategy is unchanged. But now we have Scarecrow sickles following behind me while I dart around the map. Here, I also find a Mimic holding another Bible. I do feel like Electric Whip may be the superior item for this build, but the game really wants me to try out the Bible, so who am I to say no? In the Sepulcher, I can really flex this build for you. Monsters hit by the War Javelin have an additional effect of getting stunned, so all the scary things like the Mummy and Failed Experiment can't react to my teleport. On top of that, I'll grab the Lightning Rods. I usually don't take this skill at all because I think it encourages you to make mistakes, but for this build, it's actually kind of perfect. You place one rod down, then place another further away, and they both spark lightning between each other. That's perfect for War Javelin because I am moving from one spot to another. From here, I'm gonna try to test this build out on the Giant. Normally, Giant is a pretty easy fight for either Bible by itself or Fire Blast by itself, but I decided to throw in that extra Javelin gameplay, and I have no idea how this is gonna work. Hit it! Oh, did I not dodge roll? Oh my god, I'm a little boosted, I would say. Oh, that sucks. I probably could have prevented this from happening. When is it ever not time for the Giant? Maybe that? And in fact, like, I didn't really have to do all of that gameplay. I could have just hit it with the Bible, right? You can even, like, put the Fire Blast in your hand. Do this and then use Bible. Like, I didn't have to stick to that setup. But of course, that's what we're using the whole time. So why not? Because you want the Legendary? Because you don't want to use the health pot? Chat, there's worse things to worry about. Our final biome is going to be Infested Shipwreck. This area has long hallways, which is really good for spear throws. I'll get an updated sickle, which spreads oil and does more damage to poison enemies. Keep in mind, I'm still using a level 4 War Javelin. This build is working even though that spear is such a low level. My Fire Blast also got a huge improvement, level 10 with double damage dealt. If you didn't know, the double damage taken does not affect you while it's in the backpack, but the double damage does work from the breath. With Shipwreck cleared in record time, let's head to our final two bosses on our quest to find the third top 3 worthy build. Burning oil. We have oil here. Oil on the Bible. Acrobatic Pack stays. Point Blank stays. You could Instincto for cooldown reduction. That's just to get the lightning rods back faster. You could also go safety and just take like disengage or emergency triage. Let's play as if this build will not take damage. All right, servants. Y'all know how bad this can be. She's dead. I took 5 damage from the fire, so now the no-hit is freaking toast. No pun intended. Wow, she did not like getting hit by that Bible. Okay, I'm stuck. I can say the javelin is sometimes a little bit awkward. Sometimes I don't have oil. So I'm not hitting it with the Bible or the sickle. I missed. Wow, she straight up died to that. Crap! Alright, that was my bad. All right, so Cleo, we don't mess with. Oh, this is gonna be really awkward to fight her. So I'm gonna throw the javelin, and then I have to immediately run away. Wait, I didn't get the acrobatic pack at all. I'm pretty sure I rolled into the fight. Yeah, Cleo makes this a little awkward. The rest of them seem fine. I don't get that food, do I? Oh, let me in! Hitless incoming? I was gonna let her kill me. I guess we can actually go for a hitless. Oh wait, she can take the Bible! That's mine! Oh no. That's really bad. Why does the javelin stick to the edge of the screen? You know, maybe I won't have a choice on her killing me or not. That hits me. I think it's okay overall. That's mine! Okay, you all can see the vision. I don't know if Bible is like the best answer. Someone said earlier to try Electric Whip. I think that also is not half bad. And it's probably boss specific, right? Between her and Servants, those things are quick. A slow weapon like Bible with no Crusher, no Wolf Trap, probably like a little bit too slow for those. That the War Javelin activates Fire Blast. The same thing will happen with Electric Whip. And we're in like melee range, so it still works on point blank. And if Electric Whip can get oil, then I think that's probably what you should be using. The Bible was just, it was a mimic Bible, so I really wanted to use it. Now then, would you say that these builds were top 3 worthy? Leave a comment letting me know which build was your favorite, or maybe you have a top 3 worthy build that I don't know about. Make sure you like the video, as it does help me out a lot, and subscribe if you want to see all the other roguelikes I play. Maybe I can make a top 3 video for another game in the future. But for now, good luck on your runs, and I'll catch you next time.